Splatoon 1 was released all the way back in May 28th, 2015. It was very successful and it spawned its own franchise of, it's called Splatoon. What do you want from me? Splatoon 1 is very special to me. Not only because it was my first online game, not only was it the first game I've ever completed without help, and not only because, the game is just amazing, but because I was able to grow alongside this franchise. This was really the first time I was able to do that, since I was able to be around since the beginning. I feel like I matured alongside the characters and the world and all of that. It's honestly just one of those rare opportune moments, you know? This franchise has had a very big influence on me. In fact, it's actually some of started drawing, so that was pretty cool. It inspired me to do art. I have all the mangas of it. I watched videos of the lore. Yeah, I know. And I'm one of those people. I've watched the old Gmod videos, even though I don't watch Gmod videos for everything, so that doesn't really matter. And I'm still on the search for one of those squid pillows. One of those days, my beloved. Recently, I have a spark of new interest in the series, thanks to the release of Splatoon 3's Side Order. And now, I decided, hey, while Splatoon is still in my mind, I might as well talk about it. Because, why not? What are you gonna do, stop me? No, the video's already up, dingus. I wanted to talk about everything, but everything is too much. So I decided to just split everything up into 3 videos. And in this video, I'm gonna be talking about Splatoon 1, the game that released on the Wii U. 9 years ago. Oh my gosh. 9 years ago? Really? Well, that's just great. Put me in the nursing home while you're at it. Man, I honestly can't believe it. That was so simple, man. No viruses, no brain rot, no Apple Vision Pro, none of that. It was just, we had Lego. We actually went outside. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was still airing. Man, what a time. Battlefront 1 was out, which also released 9. That game is really good looking for a 9-year-old game, you know? Okay, what was I talking about? Alright, Splatoon. I think we kind of take for granted how much the Wii U kind of helped Splatoon become what it is. If it weren't for the Wii U, then I don't think we would have gotten this series. And believe it or not, despite being on this console, it's still a really good game. And now I want to talk about how Splatoon 1, 9 years later, is still amazing. Okay, let me ask you something real quick. What makes Splatoon so unique? Is it the gameplay? Is it the immersion of the world? Or is it the story? Yes. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, let me just say, you're right. It's all right. Splatoon is so unique when it comes to the genre, to the category of all Nintendo games, or even to its own franchise. And I'm gonna start with Splatoon's gameplay is so simple, and yet it's also really not simple. Wow, you're such a genius. Oh my goodness. You're such a professor, man. I know. I am amazing at this analysis thingy thing. I'm pretty sure if you clicked on this video, you know how Splatoon works. Cover the ground with your ink to win. Or should I say turf? I'm so sorry. It's as simple as that. Nothing too complicated about it. The more ink on the ground that's yours, the more of an advantage you have over the enemy team. You use your weapon to attack the enemy, to splat them. And if you miss, don't worry, you're still covering ink, so you're still kind of doing your job. And if you run out of ink, then you can just submerge as your squid form. Which, the squid form is actually also really useful. The squid actually provides Splatoon with its overall difference to any single shooter. Then again, there aren't really that many shooters that are paintballs. No, get out of here, you're not real. So the squid. The squid adds a lot of movement to how your character works. You see, there's 2 modes. Your Inkling and your Squid. If you are in your Inkling, you can use your weapon, but you're much slower. You jump shorter and you can't move long distances while you're jumping. With the Squid, you can go up walls, you can move around in your ink faster, you can jump higher and faster. Later games add more to the squid form, but this is kind of the first game, so it is very primitive when it comes to that. And let's not even mention the super jump. On the Wii U, if you look down on your gamepad and press the jump button, You zoom across the entire stage to the player that you clicked on your gamepad. That way you won't miss anything that happened if you got splatted and you don't have to like maneuver all the way back. Honestly, it's a really brilliant thing because like that way you're not missing out on any of the action. But it's also just like really fun. It's just covering your ink with the most turf. Whoever has the more ink wins. And I swear every single time it's so fun. Even if we should have won. Turf War isn't the only mode though. There are ranked modes. Ranked modes are actually kind of different from Turf War. It's not just a competitive version of Turf War. The better you do in ranked mode, the more you move up. And the worse you do, crack your thingy. I don't really know what this is called. And then you go down in rank. Ranked mode is 3 game modes. The first one is tower control, which is just push the payload from Overwatch. I actually don't know like anything about Overwatch. Splatoon is kind of like control the zone. And then there's Rainmaker, which you have to carry it to the other enemy base. I really don't know what to compare it to. I guess Gnome Bomb from Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. Honestly, Rainmaker might be my favorite. I don't know why, but in both other modes, you're kind of sitting ducks. In the Rainmaker, you have to try to maneuver your way to the enemy base without getting attacked by the enemy in question. And also, considering it's Splatoon 1, it's so OP. And man, I really like the weapons and how they work here. Splatoon has the weirdest weapon select compared to any other shooter. What other shooter has a bucket as a weapon? Or a paintbrush? Or a paint roller? But dang it, are they not fun. The Splatoon weapon class is very diverse in the game. It really can get you kills, or something that can cover more ink. Oh, you want to cover more ink? Then you should probably go with the splat roller or a bucket. You want to get more kills? Then maybe go with the blaster or a splat charger. Then you have the kits. Honestly, I kind of like the system more than how they normally work in other shooters. And considering how OP some of these weapons were, I'm kind of glad that they did this. Oh, you want a splatter shot, but you don't like the bomb rush special weapon? Well, in a few years, they'll remove it from Splatoon 3 entirely, so you don't have to worry about that. Oh, but in this game, I guess you can get the wasabi splatter shot. I mean, it only has an ink strike or something. Or how about you take a kelp splat charger with a killer whale? I could really go on, but I'm too lazy, and I don't want to do this. So I'm just going to stop. And then you have the clothes. So the clothes in this game actually aren't just pure cosmetics. I mean, sure, you can have them work that way. I mean, I sure do. I don't really care that much. But here's the thing. Every piece of clothes has an ability. Every single time you win a match or something, you can add more to your abilities, you know? And considering it's Splatoon 1, they have some overpowered, and I mean overpowered abilities. Like the strength up. Man, if you have like strength up on everything, well, might as well just delete the game because you're not winning that one. If you want to go and play with a friend, you know, Splatoon 1 has your back. Instead of buying a completely different system, you can play on the Battle Dojo. I've never played on the Battle Dojo. I don't have a Wii U Pro controller, and this isn't even my footage, so I'm not really going to be attaching a motion card, explaining to my family I have a YouTube channel, and then recording something that's only going to get 10 views. No, I'm too lazy to do that, so I'm just going to move on. Honestly, Splatoon 1 being my first shooter, it was kind of surreal to like move over to an actual shooter and actually kind of seeing how some shooters can actually kind of influence Splatoon maybe in the future. I mean, I think it'd be kind of cool if there was like a team deathmatch in Splatoon. I don't know, that'd just be me. I mean, maybe have it be a ranked mode or something. In Splatoon, you feel like you're a part of this world. And there's many reasons to that. And no, it's not because Splatoon literally is our world. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. I think it's mostly because how everything is shown to you, like the player. I mean, like, the first thing you're literally greeted with, assuming you've already played the tutorial, is this. you get brought by the one and only Squid Sisters. And nowadays, it's more of a pain to sit through because of Splatoon 3 skip feature. But to be honest, it's kind of nice to sit through the news. You feel like you're having to watch the news. You feel like you're a fan of the Squid Sisters. You feel like you're just seeing like what's the newest thing, you know? I mean, this is kind of like where you have to get your stage news. I guess it's kind of mandatory, but it's also just very nice to like sit through their banter. It still kind of holds up, I'm not even gonna lie. The jokes aren't the greatest. You're not gonna be cackling out of your seat or anything like that. The worst I really got was an exhale out of my nose. Like, that's kind of it. I'd be lying to you if I didn't have a big grin on my face. And then after you die of age from sitting in the news, you're thrust into the plaza. You aren't in a menu. You aren't just having your character on the screen and then you have to select a few buttons to go to your game that you want to play. You're in a city, a thriving city with your fellow Inklings everywhere. Chilling, chatting, and I mean like whatever people used to talk about on Miiverse. They made the plaza feel alive with all that. I mean, like, you see the jellyfish everywhere. You see everyone talking and just sitting on the bench. You see the weird shady guy who's probably, like, dealing crack or something. You feel like it's a city that you could just walk in. I also really like how they handle buying stuff. Instead of, again, an item shop or something, you can, like, actually walk into your stores. With the hats, you're at Annie's store. Annie is a shy sea anemone while Mo is just a jerk. Jalonzo is actually selling shirts and broke away from the hive mind of the jellyfish, which if you didn't know, jellyfish are mostly in a hive mind. And Krusty Sean. This dude is chill, and I'd go grab a bite with him. And Sheldon... Look, I know he probably means well, and I'm pretty sure that he is very passionate about what he does, but there's something about him that really makes me want to drop kick him. And Spike is just probably the local drug dealer who somehow gets shirts, probably from the black market, and you can actually scrub slots for you with your gear. So if you don't like something, you can always get your gear scrubbed. Also, for a couple of sneeze sales, of course, which I didn't know he ate. You know, I just thought he, like, kept them. I don't know what he did with them, but, you know, those shells that you see, those empty ones, he ate them. I never knew that. That's actually something that I never knew 9 years ago. Okay, so this part is kind of me in post of writing, because, like, I'm not going to actually put this in. This kind of just goes with atmosphere, and this is kind of, like, a weird pace break, and I guess spoiler for the final boss, but at the end of the story mode, you fight DJ Octavio. Oh wow, what a spoiler. And the atmosphere of this boss is incredible, and the background helps with the music as well, as it gets louder and louder with every phase. Oh, it's so good! I think this is probably the best well, actually, I take that back. This is probably the best Octavio boss. Splatoon 2's is a joke, and I kind of like Splatoon 3's more. But this one is just really good. The chase keeps going on, and it's so fun. You get different stuff thrown at you, so it kind of like tosses you off course. And at the end, when the Calamar incantation plays, it really boosts your confidence. And the music itself is really good. I mean, like, I listened to this nonstop back then. That's actually something else I want to talk about. The music. Because the music in this game is like nothing you've ever heard of. It's so incredibly diverse. From rock to electronic to traditional Japanese. Not only that, but they actually have in-universe artists, which is actually really cool. You have the Squid Squad. You have the Chirpy Chips. You have the High Tide era. And the Squid Sisters. And plus, I guess, Turquoise October. They all have their own style. You can easily... Actually, couldn't easily, but you could kind of tell which songs are from which, either by listening to the style of the music, how the people sing it, and just like the total energy of it. And you know what? Guess what happens with them? They get into controversy. Like, huh? Controversy. In my Splatoon game, okay, so, you know that song, Now or Never? it was actually probably not made by Squid Squad. It was actually probably made by the creators by the name of Seaside, which is actually a band from Splatoon 3. Allegedly, Squid Squad had stolen the song. I kind of find this very interesting because, like, Nintendo, even though it is from a later game, Nintendo really just went ahead and just gave them lore. Also, Squid Squad broke up, like the Beatles. I never really knew that until I started taking this franchise a bit more seriously. But I really think that it's cool of Nintendo to give nuggets of information about squads and bands of people who just you're never gonna meet. This is all just background information. You can go the entire game without knowing this. Nintendo did not have to cook about a world with a bunch of squid people. There's also another part of the immersion that I would like to talk about, and that would be during stages. The stages have a lot going on, like Museum del Fonzino, which is actually like, well, it's a museum. I mean, it's in the name. And it has a bunch of Inkling culture in it, which is actually really cool. You have Bluefin Depot, which is a really old and abandoned, what, is it abandoned? I think it's abandoned. A depot, which was actually used during the Great Turf War, which I'll get to later. Urchin Underpass is like a skateboarding park. I think it looks like that. And I guess I can't really talk about the immersion unless I talk about the Splatfest. If you didn't know, Splatfests are worldwide events, which in each person has to pick a side, like cake or ice cream, past or future, burgers or pizza, Autobots or Decepticons, SpongeBob versus Patrick. Yeah, there were some sponsors Splatfest. I don't really see anyone take these seriously at the time. Back then, it was just a time where everyone can compare opinions. I mean, in universe, however, whoever is the winner is legally superior. Hey, Splatoon trying to say something? It's really cool just walking around the plaza, which previously was daytime, but now that it's nighttime, everyone's partying. The Squid Sisters are performing for everyone. The jellyfish are doing whatever the jellyfish do. It's really cool. I really like it. It gets my approval. And what's also really cool is that it doesn't just go by aesthetics of the plaza. It's also the matches. Like, this is treated like a big deal. It's really cool. Everything is nighttime. You can see like fireworks performing. It's really cool. Your ink changes the color of your team. And it's also just really nice, like taking a stroll through the plaza and just seeing how everyone is seeing what team they're on. And just seeing everyone partying and dancing. It's a very nice vibe. It also adds to the fact that you could be living in this world and you could be participating in this festival right now. The last Splatfest in Splatoon 1 was Cali versus Marine, which, as everyone knows, ended with Marie's victory and Cali's defeat. This later went to go influence Splatoon 2, but we're not there yet. The immersion of Splatoon is something like I've never seen before. It's just absolutely fantastic. I usually get lost and just walk around the plaza all the time. The gameplay of the Splatoon single player, there really isn't much to say. Just get to the other side and get the Zapfist. Occasionally, there will be a gimmick in the stage, like sponges, geysers, etc. The standout levels are the Octolink levels, which you actually use a turf map, which I think is really cool, because it's like the Octolink going into the zone to like try to attack it, and the Octo Striker levels, which you have to dodge the Ink Strike. Why didn't they bring them back? I also like the bosses here. The Octo Stomp is a really good challenge. Same thing with the Octo Nozzle, as you have to dodge the balls. The Octo Whirl, where it tries to spin you over and like, I don't know, flatten you? I don't really know what happens. The Octomall, which he tries to eat you. And the great Octobot King himself. I really like the chasing, and I've kind of already talked about all my thoughts on the boss before. Now, that's kind of really it with the gameplay. And what I really want to talk about is the story. The story, you might be saying, is paper thin. Get the great Zapfish back. That's easy as that. And yeah, you're kind of right. The most we really get out of the story mode is like Callie and Marie are related to Captain Cuttlefish. And they're Agents 1 and 2. Oh, and there's like an entirely different race. That's cool. But I'm not talking about the story presented to us normally. What I want to talk about is the Sunken Scrolls. The Sunken Scrolls are a collectible in Splatoon 1. Everyone knows that. And in these Sunken Scrolls, you sometimes get weird documents, papers. It's very weird. Sometimes they're just normal, like, advertisements. And then sometimes it's just stuff from the Octoling world. But a lot of times, we get glimpses into the past of Splatoon. And why everyone is fighting, and why everything is going on. This game introduces the idea of the demise of humanity, and a bunch of other things too. This is really the first game, so we didn't know about Tartar, or Alterna, or Mr. Grizz, or even Arc Polaris. All we knew was about the fax machine, Judd, the Great War, and the Great Flood. That was kind of really it, as far as we knew about the demise of humanity. And that Wii U's were popular in this timeline, apparently. I remember hearing about how the ice caps were the one that caused everything to flood out. I was like, oh my gosh, no, this is gonna happen to us. We gotta do something. And now I just, don't even care. The ice caps come out for all I care. The death of humanity, though, was really background information. There wasn't really much to know about it at the time. Later games would explore much about this, like Splatoon 2's Octo expansion and Splatoon 3. But something that does kind of linger, and it would actually kind of be useful to know, is stuff about the Great Turf War. The Great Turf War was a conflict between Inklings and Octolings over receding land. Splatoon 2 is still trying to say something, isn't it? I mean, they're not fighting without reason. If they don't have enough land, then not everyone's gonna live. Like, it's not a basic good guy versus bad guy dilemma. It's not like Mario going to fight Bowser, or Sonic going to fight Eggman, or Link going to fight Ganon, or Kirby going to fight the Eldritch Demon of the day. It's nothing like that. You're fighting so now you can help the people live on both sides. It's actually kind of a reasonable and more believable explanation of why the cephalopods are fighting. Instead of just, oh, the Octarians grew suddenly evil and they wanted to kill the Inklings because they didn't like the way they looked. No, that's not how it went down. They were actually really good friends at first. And actually, the Octarians might have won. They were actually devastating the Inklings at the first part of the war. With the great octo weapons that we fought, and whatever stuff that they used, like bombing them. Yeah, they bombed the Inklings, if you didn't know. They were winning. They could have been the playable characters, you know. Then, things changed. Somehow their energy was cut off from them, because they tripped over the plug. Yeah, I know, it's silly, but I mean, it happened. And with that, the Inklings were able to overpower the Octarians, especially with their new force, the Squidbeak Splatoon. I mean, I guess the game now makes sense. With the Squidbeak Splatoon on their side, the Octarians were kind of done. They lost. The Inklings won. They overpowered them and forced them under, forced to dwell in the dark, in the abandoned domes in Octo Valley. I mean, me personally, I would have just won, but even putting them in the dark, that's kind of, dang. And it didn't really help that there was an energy crisis. I mean, with domes from a bajillion years, yeah, they were kind of showing their age. So what did they do to get their power back? Well, what better way to have the power than something that could power an entire city? Honestly, besides of what we're told, the Octarians didn't actually steal the Great Zapfish out of spite. They're doing it because they needed to survive. And while I would like to think that there was a bit of spite behind it, and just to inconvenience them, it was also just to keep their society running. Because without power, then you're just going to live in the dark. I mean, being forced to live in the dark is not really a fun experience. I would know. I was in a cave once without the dark. It's not fun. And it didn't really help that the Octarians were forced below ground by force. I mean, the Inklings were making them go underground. That was that's kind of on the Inklings. But that doesn't really mean the Octarians have a clear conscience either. I mean, not only are they stealing from the Inklings, kind of putting them in their situation, which I guess is kind of ironic, they're also misusing the power that they're given. According to later information in Splatoon 2, which, I mean, I guess is kind of cheating, but, I mean, whatever. In Splatoon 2, 8 kind of reveals to us that the Zapfish are kind of being misused So no side is innocent. And like, what side is in the right and what side is in the wrong is kind of really up to you. Like, on one hand, you have the Inklings who force the Octarians to live in the domes below and kind of antagonize them a bit. And on the other side, the Octarians are enforcing their youth to become soldiers and making their Zapfish, their power sources actually, kind of live painfully. There's no right or wrong. It doesn't even mention the fact that the Octolings might be repowering their Octo weapons to go take the fight back to the Inkling. If you really want to hear more about the Octarian relationships with the Inklings and the conflict that they experience, I really recommend watching this video by Cosmic Cloud. It's a really good video and actually does a really good deep dive into the relationships. It's really, really good. I recommend you watch it. Like, go watch it after you're done with this video. I mean, like, I'm surprised you've been watching the video, to be honest. While it does kind of seem like it's kind of like a basic background dump, it does add a lot of weight to the final battle. It adds a lot of weight to the final battle because you're fighting a century's worth of hate. And also helps with the Calamari incantation. How, I mean, not only is it so catchy, but it actually kind of empowers you to keep going. I mean, it canonically gives Agent 3 the strength to keep going. And it actually helps the Octolings, the ones who are being oppressed. The Octolings, the ones that the Inklings have oppressed, and even their own leader has kind of sort of oppressed too. See the world. And that would lead some of them to go up into the surface and try to live their lives. We could have seen that in Splatoon 1, but they cut that from the game, so, I mean, womp womp. I know I kind of butchered it, but I mean, it was still kind of fun to talk about it. Splatoon 1, while not my favorite, holds a very special place in my heart. There's something special about this game pack. This game, so going to Splatoon 3 and trying to recreate that experience. I still prefer going to boot of my Wii U. I'll always enjoy going into the OG Plaza, going into old matches of Turtle, seeing the old broken special weapon, and just like revisiting the joy of what it was like back then, to just place the game on summer. With nothing to do, no caring of what. How should I say? What? You can really glide. Splat targeting a long straight line. Splat bombs explode after a little time. When the ink strike comes, hope it's on your. Make a mess is what you gotta do. You can splat the wall, splat the floor, splat each other, splat some more. The team with the most things splatted will win. Now you know the rules, so come on, let's begin. You're an inkling kid that can change to a squid. Dive into the heat, no one will know where you hit. You can slip through gates, you can swim really fast, you can climb up walls, you know it's always a blast. You can charge up your ink meter too. Become a crack and see what it can do. Come on! Spread the word together. Come. And so, it ends. I knew it was going to happen eventually. I wasn't denying that, but it doesn't hurt any less. On the 9th of April, all Wii U servers will be closed down. This means no Mario Maker, no Mario Kart, and worst of all, no Splatoon. I know Pretendo is a very good alternative. I urge everyone to go and get Pretendo, because it is a very good alternative. But, I mean, even with that, nothing replaces the official servers. You can't relive memories, you can only revisit them. It was just fun to enjoy being a kid. Just doing nothing and just enjoying it. I enjoyed the simplicity of Splatoon 1. It just reminds me of a simple time. A time when I didn't have to worry about anything. I could just be a kid.